Captain's logs.
Han Solo. I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation starship Enterprise.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
You're listening to Captain's Logs and Lightsabers, part of the Geek News Now podcast network.
Hey, welcome to episode 21 of Captain's Log and Lightsabers podcast. My name is Jonathan. I am one of the hosts on this show. Allow me to introduce the gentleman who is always with me each and every episode, my co-host Chris. How's it going today?
I'm good there, Jonathan. How you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm good. It's been a busy few weeks, I know, for both of us with the Thanksgiving holiday and everything.
Oh, yes.
How was your Thanksgiving, by the way?
Thanksgiving was actually pretty good. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see my parents because they were both sick. We don't know if it was COVID or not. They refused to get tested. Mm-hmm. But we went to see my mother-in-law. She had a nice dinner for about 10 of us, and so it was really nice. And that was pretty much it. How about you?
Yeah, that's good that you got to spend some time with your mother-in-law. I know she's probably pretty lonely now, so that's good that you got to spend some time with her. It's a shame that you didn't get to see your parents, but at the same time, I guess that's what you have Christmas coming up, so
exactly.
Yeah, my Thanksgiving was good. Do what we always do. We went over to my wife's parents. Her mom cooked and had the whole family over, and we had our fill of turkey and noodles and all the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, good.
Yeah, it was a good time spent with family, and then Kylie and I caught a couple movies, I think, over Thanksgiving break. So,
that's wonderful. That's great.
All right, so I'm glad you had a good holiday. Christmas is coming up, so I know you're looking forward to that as well. But let's talk about the real meat of the episode, and that's with How Did You Geek This Week? Chris, what do you have for me?
Oh, I've actually done a couple things. So just under 2 weeks ago, I went to the December show of Steel City Con here in Monroeville. There were no Star Trek actors. I don't think there were really any Star Wars actors either, except for maybe a guest star. Chris Sarandon was there. I know a lot of people know him from the original Child's Play movie, and I think he was in another movie. I can't remember.
The Princess Bride.
That's it. That's what it was. Princess Bride. Yeah. So he was there, but didn't get to see him. It was a very busy show because Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, and Christy Brinkley from the Vacation movies were there. So that made it super busy. And then some wrestlers like The Undertaker was there, and Ginny Weasley from Harry Potter was there. And I think there was a Power Ranger that was there. There were a ton of people. Mm-hmm. One that I was really particularly happy. I didn't meet her in person, but I watched her panel was Vicki Lawrence from Mama's Family.
Nice.
That was a blast. So
she appeared as Mama for some of the photo ops, right?
Yes, it was actually, she told us the very first time she ever dressed up as Mama to take photo ops with fans.
That's impressive that she decided to do that in Pittsburgh.
Exactly. Yeah, of all places, But yeah, I mean, the place was busy. It was cold. People were outside the doors. There was barely any room to move. But even despite that and it being a little stressful, it was still a lot of fun. I bought some really great stuff. I don't think I bought any Star Trek stuff, surprisingly, but I did buy another stuffed animal of Grogu that somebody was selling. Can't ever have enough Grogus. A couple of Blu-ray sets, and I bought the Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock soundtrack on vinyl that it was originally released in '84. So I have that to take with me to listen to at work. I have a record player there. And
I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yes.
Sorry. Speaking of picking up some physical media, you would never believe what I found in the Dollar Tree DVD bin of shame.
What'd you find?
I found both Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 4 on Blu-ray for $1.25 a piece.
Wow. Okay. Did you pick them up?
I did.
You did. Yeah. Why not? $1.25. That's a pretty good deal for those.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I completely threw off your flow.
No, that's okay. You're fine. But yeah, the show was really good. One of the things that I did buy that I was really happy about, and I got two of them. I remember when it was during the 20th anniversary of the original Star Wars movies, and they released a special edition. Remember in the bag of Lay's, they had a send away for an Obi-Wan Kenobi Force figure. I've been wanting one of those for years, even though I heard it's not the greatest figure. But I loved that promo and from that time, and I finally got not one but two. They were $1 a piece.
Oh, that's great. That
awesome.
was
cool.
Yeah. That's that because. I mean, even at the time of the episode 1 came out, didn't Pepsi own Frito-Lay or the other way around? Because I remember the Pepsi being a huge marketing campaign with the prequels, of course.
Oh, definitely the cans and everything, the pop cans. Those were great. Those were great.
Yeah, but did Pepsi own Frito-Lay at the time too?
I think so. I think that's the way it went. Yeah, but yeah, Steel City Con was really good, and. So I'm looking forward to the one that starts, the next one starts on March 31st. The big one that I'm looking forward to seeing there is Kelsey Grammer. Obviously, he played Fraser Crane, but he also was in an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. So that'll be a cool one. The only other thing I geeked with this week was on Saturday. Saturday, I went out with my Star Trek fan club, the USS Stella Parada. We had our ship Christmas party.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was fun, good times, played a dirty game, good times had by all,
That's good. And Brandy went with you, didn't she?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
That's good. Glad you both had a good time.
Oh, yeah, something to get out of the house,
Absolutely. So
how did you geek this week?
So how did I geek this week? I went to see the new Avatar movie at the AMC 22 Waterfront in Pittsburgh. You saw the first Avatar movie, didn't you?
Yes, one time in the theater.
Okay. Did you see it in 3D or no?
Yes, in 3D. That was crazy how wild that was.
Well, can you imagine 13 years later what 3D looks like?
I was wondering if it was going to be even better.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I really, really thought that the first Avatar was, it was a visual treat, of course. It was amazing. Sure. It looked great. And even still today, it looks pretty good on my home TV. I mean, I'm sure it looks better in the theater, but it looks pretty good on my home TV. And the new one, of course, they waited so long because James Cameron just wanted the technology to be able to complete his vision and really bring what he had seen in his mind, to life and glorious splendor, and yeah, the 3D in Avatar: The Way of Water was really, really good, completely next level. But just like we also saw it in Dolby Vision, which is kind of their premium format for sound and picture.
Yes.
I've never seen like such incredible looking CGI. Like it looked like a video game.
Really?
Just the way that, like, I can only imagine what if this is what video games look like in 5 years or 6 years or 10 years, what are movies going to look like?
Sure, absolutely.
And I think a big reason why it looked like a video game, I did a little research, and it turns out that a lot of the movie was filmed in 48 frames per second.
Okay.
Which is double what film typically is presented in. So it's typically 24 frames a second, right?
Okay.
So the fact that it was double made it just look so much more, I don't know, just visually stunning.
Oh, sure.
And I thought the story in the second one was better than the story in the first one. I'm looking forward to seeing what plot threads they kind of left in the new movie get picked up if there's going to be a sequel, which I know Cameron has 3 more planned, but the movie is unfortunately not doing that well box office wise.
Are you serious? I'm sure there are many different reasons for that, though. A lot of things have changed since 2009 with the pandemic and people streaming and, people wanting to just kind of stay home and just watch things from the comfort of their recliners, basically, But that's a shame. I hope it picks up because, you're right. A lot of people waited 13 years for that movie.
Right. And hopefully the holiday weekend kind of helps with that, or the holiday break. Maybe it'll never make what it made in the first weekend, but maybe it'll at least have some legs.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It would be sad if they didn't, because of that, they didn't make any more afterward, and then his vision wouldn't be completed and then the fans would be kind of left hanging,
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if you get a chance to see it, I know you like the Cinemark, so I would definitely spring for the Cinemark XD or whatever the highest format is that they have there.
Okay. I think I'll hopefully be able to give it a try and go. Brandy refuses to go. She went with us to see Avatar in 2009. She said that was the worst 3 hours of her life.
That's fair. It wasn't. I mean, like I said, it was, the story was definitely not original, but it was visually stunning. I mean, the story has been done better at least 2 other times. You know, it's a lot like, basically the story of Avatar is very similar to Lawrence of Arabia and even Dances with Wolves.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the story structure beat by beat, yeah, it follows those pretty closely.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's why it kind of, I mean, it's you know, it's a tropey story, but I guess that's why story tropes exist, is because they are popular.
Right, exactly.
So, all right. Hey, do you have any news items for us? Anything recent in the Star Trek world for news?
Oh, just not much. All I know is that I guess the Star Trek Prodigy action figures, there wasn't a whole lot said about it. They were supposed to be coming out originally in October of this year, but it looks like that they've been moved forward by Playmates Toys, and I guess they're going to be coming out in the spring of 2023 at this point. They're not going to have every character. I believe they're going to have Dahl with Murph, I believe. They're going to have Bank and Pog. Let's see who else. Gwyn is going to be there, and Zero. I might be missing one, but I've seen pictures. I don't know if you've seen pictures of them, but they look really good.
Nice. I haven't really looked into them. I'm still hoping for a Murph plush. I know we've been talking about that and chasing that for a while, but
definitely. They made them for one. I think it was New York Comic Con, and they gave them out to people.
Yeah, that's not the same.
Oh, I know, and a lot of people were like jealous. They're like, I wanted to get one, So they're right. If CBS is smart, they'll license those. I'm surprised they didn't do that and then have them ready for the holiday season. That, a lot of people would have had that. But that's the small bit about Prodigy. The only other thing that I could find was for Strange New Worlds. So season 1's finally going to be coming out on DVD, Blu-ray, and Blu-ray Steelbook.
Oh,
that release date is March 21st, 2023, and it's got about 90 minutes of extras that are going to be coming with it. Yeah, so if people are into Strange New Worlds, there you go. It's going to be coming out in March.
Nice. I wonder if that content will be available anywhere else.
That's a good question. To your knowledge, do they ever release any of that content onto like YouTube or anything else, or do they wait until it's been out for a while?
Sometimes they'll release it on YouTube, but sometimes it'll just be a teaser and it'll say buy the set to get the rest of it. Or I'm hoping now that Paramount Plus is kind of the exclusive home for everything Star Trek, I'm hoping that they do what Disney Plus does and put a lot of behind the scenes and featurette content on the actual show page, right?
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I hope they do that as well. And I hope they bring the Star Trek movies back to Paramount Plus.
Yeah. I think for some reason it's being really difficult to wrangle those.
Exactly. I don't know if they went to another streamer, if they went to like Hulu or Netflix or whatever, but you would think those being Paramount movies, they would be on Paramount Plus, and you would keep the whole Star Trek franchise together. I think that was a bad move on whoever made that decision, but I guess, what do we know? I
mean, it's hard to say. It could be even something as simple as the streaming rights to the Trek movies belong to Prime Video or Netflix or wherever for X number of years because of an existing contract. Right. So perhaps Paramount Plus is just waiting for those the contract to expire so that they can claim it back.
Oh, that would be great. That would make sense. Definitely.
Yeah, that's typically how it works, because that's a big reason why some of the Marvel movies didn't go on Disney Plus right away when that launched, is because they had streaming contracts elsewhere.
That makes sense. I'm just confused about it though, because Paramount Plus had them and then they're gone again. So I don't know, like, how if there was a contract thing, that's bizarre. It's just hopscotching. Right.
And it's hard to say how often those streaming rights flip flop. It'll make your head spin trying to keep up with it all.
Exactly. I'm just glad I have them all on physical media, so I don't have to worry about it.
There you go.
Exactly. Right, and so I just sit back and watch the fans complain on like Trek movie or something, that kind of stuff.
Just content to watch the world burn around you, huh?
Pretty much, just sit there and pretend to eat popcorn and just watch the drama.
That's right. That's right. You're just here for the comments.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Yep.
All right. So I don't really have much news either. I have one major piece of news from the Star Wars side of things, and that is it's award season, right? So I was kind of hoping that Star Wars Andor would get some sort of recognition, and it turns out it has. For the Golden Globe, both Diego Luna has been nominated for Best Performance, and then at the Critics' Choice Awards, Andor was nominated for both Best Drama Series and Best Actor for Diego Luna. So I'm not sure if the show is going to have a snowball's chance in hell of winning any of the awards, but it's at least nice to see it's being recognized among shows like Yellowstone and 1923, and Severance, right? Like, these are heavy hitters in prestige TV, and it's nice to see that Andor got that kind of attention.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's wonderful. Because you don't always see Star Wars going into the mainstream like that, or, a lot of sci-fi or pop culture for that reason. So, for that matter. So, I think that's wonderful. That's good. And it was a very interesting first season. It's one I'm definitely going to have to completely rewatch and try to get through with the flow now that I can just binge it. But yeah, the tone of it was so different. I just did a rewatch of Book of Boba Fett. I actually think it's better than I first thought it was. It was actually very entertaining, and it had some really neat story moments and story components, and brought in some great, interesting characters.
Oh, absolutely. I like how it all came together at the end, how it all tied back to Ferrix.
Yes.
That was incredible. The show starts on Ferrix and ends on Ferrix. And just, Aunt Petunia, or Marva's speech was just incredible. Oh, my goodness. And just the way that everybody in Ferrix came together to fight against the Empire, it was glorious.
Definitely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the rewatch. Definitely looking forward to seeing the whole couple episodes with the prison. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the arc that finally pulled me into the show and was like, yep, this is the one. This is why I'm watching.
Definitely. But I'm looking forward to Bad Batch coming, but I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit here.
We are. We're going to hold off on that for just a little bit, and we're going to circle back around to Star Trek Prodigy, because I know last time we recorded, Chris, you hadn't really caught up with the show, but I know you're not fully caught up. I think you're 2 episodes behind, but you've at least seen, 6 of the most recent block of 10 episodes?
Yes, absolutely. From episodes 11 to 16.
Yeah.
So I've been watching those over the last couple days, and I'm definitely enjoying this second half of the first season better than the first. Not that there was any bad thing with the first part, but it took a while for the characters to kind of come into their own and, kind of learn about some of the skills that they have and learn to work together as a crew. Now you have, Rock Talk is now, she's interested in science, so you're seeing her grow more than beyond just being some brute monster, who was like a security officer. Dahl is starting to become more confident in his leadership abilities, and he doesn't seem to be as lackadaisical with it as he used to be. Gwen is starting to come around and realize a lot of what has happened, the bad that her father has done, and what them using the protostar to destroy the Federation. She knows that's wrong, so that way she's joined the crew because she believes in their cause. I think the arc was Zero accidentally revealing himself to Gwen through his reflection on Dahl's badge.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was a perfect way of handling that whole situation, because as you know, with the Medusans, if you look at their real appearance, you go mad. A humanoid will go mad.
Right.
And so that reflection thing, even though she didn't get a full look at him, it was just enough. And I think they created something really neat about her just losing her memories.
Yeah. I thought that was a really cool approach to it.
Absolutely. But I love the fact that for a kid's show, there was a lot of sadness and remorse and guilt in this character that it often felt like it would be more appropriate in a live action or, more serious show. Mm-hmm. And it was actually, he handled it beautifully with, in my opinion.
For sure. Oh,
you know,
sure.
and they didn't just have it quickly where he forgot about it. He brought it up over a couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
You-
I just consistently love the fact that this show it's Star Trek for adults. It's made by Star Trek fans. It's made for adults who love Star Trek, but also are looking for a way to bring their children into a franchise that they love so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great how, you know, there's so many little clues and Easter eggs in there for longtime fans. Like, have you noticed any crazy like Easter eggs? You're like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, I've seen a few. I can't remember a whole bunch of them off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, certain things they put in, like in the episode where they finally meet Vice Admiral Janeway for real on that snow planet when they hide the protostar, and they had the Xindi reptilians.
Yes.
Were actually in there. I mean, who would have thought to use the Xindi again after Enterprise? And there they were, and I was like, wow, this is really great. I was hoping to learn more about what the Xindi were up to, but I had to remember it's a 30-minute show. And that wasn't the plot line, but that was really nice. When they get to that relay station and after they get into the Alpha Quadrant, the medical officer or the officer on board was Denobulan. That was really cool. Never seen any outside of Enterprise, so that was
and
neat.
Dr. Fox, yeah.
Exactly. You know, the episode where they come across the colony with the what they call themselves, the Enterprisers or whatever. You know, it was like they copied off of Captain Kirk's mission, you know, and they made the episode funny because they had these characters kind of like with mudded up names of the Enterprise characters, and how you had James T was actually acting like William Shatner in the episode.
I love that episode so much, and
exactly.
I was waiting so patiently for you to watch it so we could talk about it.
Oh, absolutely.
I had a feeling you would get a kick out of that.
Oh, definitely. And then what I was really excited about is that they kept the aesthetic of the original series.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't anything from Discovery or from Strange New Worlds. They honored what came before, and it was respected. And, you know, and I haven't, in a long time, I haven't felt like that's been respected. So I think for them to embrace what really was there back then, I think was a love letter to the people who created Star Trek in the past and designed it and everything. I just thought it was wonderful getting to see an original series shuttlecraft again. And then that episode just had an adult kind of storyline. If you think about it, with the whole, what was it, plasma leaking into it was impacting something that was happening in a reaction with the dilithium crystals, and it was causing some sort of, I guess, radiation sickness or whatever, or something like that. Yeah. Again, it's not something you would normally see in a child's TV show, but there it was.
Right.
You know, so kids are actually getting to experience what Star Trek in the 60s was all about, you know, and learning about helping people and solving problems and working as a team.
Yeah.
You know?
And the, you know, that episode, I mean, everything in that episode comes from a place of love and respect for the source material. So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was just beyond beautiful. So.
Sure. And then,
you know,
I mean, honestly, I can't wait for you to watch the next two, especially episode 18. That one had some funny moments, and there's a callback that I'm hoping you catch, because it relates to something we talked about recently on a previous episode. Okay.
So I'll try to watch those last two in the next couple of days, and then we can touch base about it. That'd be great.
Absolutely. And then, what did you think of all the stuff we found out about Dahl's past, his creation?
Oh no, that was very interesting. Now, the current Star Trek creators seem to have a major obsession with Khan. they for some reason keep wanting to go back to Khan. Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but you're right. So he was found. He was a human augment, and his creators augmented him with DNA from 26 different species. Yeah, so they say like it was Vulcan, Tellarite, Klingon.
And they were dominant and recessive traits.
Yes. Yeah. And then when he had that implant put on the back of his neck by that surgeon, he started actually physically morphing into the different species that he's a part of. That was really fascinating. So I'm curious to see why they created Dahl, why they put so many things like that together. Like, what was the point? What was his mission? The only thing I kept thinking about was, ironically, Shinzon from Star Trek Nemesis. You know, he was created by the Romulans just to replace Picard. You know, so what was behind Dahl?
I think he was created to kind of be the ultimate life form, with the best qualities of every single known race in the Star Trek universe.
Right.
So he was basically selectively bred with dominant and recessive traits to try to create the perfect being, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really makes sense, But I'm sure that they're going to explore that more and more as time goes on. I also love the fact
until season 2, I'm sure.
At least something tells me though they're not going to. If the series goes for a long time, they're not going to wait that long. I think they're going to be itching to get that out based on the pacing and what they're revealing in each episode of the show up to now. I also really love the episode where they all talked about where they all came from, because I kept wondering how did a Medusan or a Tellarite or whoever else get from the Alpha Quadrant get to the Delta Quadrant. Now it makes sense. Now Dahl, we don't know exactly. All we know is that he said he was raised by that Ferengi female,
right?
Who sold him. It turned out,
right?
So there's not much on him. Gwyn, we finally get figured out where she came from, why the Diviner came back in time. Jankum Pog was aboard a Tellarite sleeper ship. And this was a new piece for Tellarites. They said, they actually, Tellarite orphans are actually put on to sleeper ships for their long-term exploration. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that did that.
Yeah. And the fact that he left his ship to save oxygen for his crewmates and unfortunately got caught, pretty cool. And then Rock Talk was in some sort of carnival kind of show, and she was tired of being the one who kind of looked bad and never won. So she found a way to win and won, and they basically kicked her to the curb.
I thought that was great that she was basically, I wonder if the creators or whoever wrote that episode are fans of wrestling, because that was like, Rock Talk was always set up to be the heel, the one to always take the loss to the hero character.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can see by the way it was set up and everything, somebody had to have had a pretty good knowledge of that, And then we got to learn a little bit more about Zero and the Medusans and how he got lured away and got trapped and sent to the Delta Quadrant. It was nice to see the Medusans just kind of flying around and seeing what they could do in their natural state. So just overall, this show has just been absolutely amazing. It's definitely got the spirit of Star Trek. At first when I thought the show was going to be about these, runaway kids or basically, whatever, I didn't really like the idea of it, but they really turned me around on it. It feels like good Star Trek. It's good Star Trek to get kids interested into the franchise. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to see how the season wraps up with the next 2 episodes. And then, sometime next year, you and I will catch up after the series is complete. And we'll talk about, the last 4 episodes, I guess.
Absolutely. I'm up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Don't get technical with me.
Logic is the beginning of wisdom, Valeris, not the end.
The Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense.
So I think on that note, that we're going to move on to kind of a look into the future, actually, considering that we just talked about looking forward to the rest of Star Trek Prodigy in 2023. We're going to talk about the projects that the other projects from Star Trek and Star Wars that we are both excited for to premiere in 2023. So I'm going to start by just kind of going over a few things that are coming out on the Star Wars side of things over the first 3 months of 2023. The first thing that we get, and we don't have to wait too long at all, is the 2-episode premiere of The Bad Batch Season 2. That's going to be available January 4th, 2023, and then the season will finish with another 2-episode block, the finale, at the end of March 2023. Then we've also, it's going to be a good year, or at least a good March on Disney Plus for Star Wars fans, because not only are we getting the last, say, 6 episodes of The Bad Batch Season 2, we get the first few episodes of The Mandalorian Season 3, which premieres on March 1st, 2023. We got a trailer from Lucasfilm that promises to show us Mandalorian live action, some pretty cool-looking space combat scenes with Din Djarin's new ship. And I'm sure we'll get plenty of Baby Yoda or Grogu or the child or whatever you want to call him. We don't care.
Exactly.
just call him what you want and love him. That's all we ask.
Exactly. Awesome.
All right. So why don't you give us a couple Star Trek projects, Chris, that are coming out in 2023?
All right. I'll be honest with you. I think the one that people are most excited about at this point is Star Trek Picard Season 3 at this point. So, and as people know, it's bringing back all of the Next Generation cast for the final season of the show. And basically, the synopsis of it is that Dr. Crusher is away from Starfleet, and she's serving on a former Starfleet science and medical ship called the SS Ilios. And out of nowhere, the ship is attacked. Mm-hmm. Crusher then ends up sending out a message to Picard asking for assistance. And then at this point, Picard assembles his former crew, and they band together to help Dr. Crusher. And apparently they go on board the USS Titan, the Titan A, which is apparently a Constitution 3 class starship. And I don't know who the captain is yet, but 7 of 9 serves on board as the first officer, continuing her arc from season 2, where she was given a field commission into Starfleet. And there's a new main villain out there for this season, and her name is Vadic, and she's played by Amanda Plummer, who's the daughter of Christopher Plummer, also known as General Chang from Star Trek VI at this point. So I watched the trailer several times, and right now what I'm getting is this Vadic has something out against the Federation. She's out for revenge. Look, she's seeking something for vengeance for something. She even said at one point in the trailer that she was hoping to watch the Federation burn at this point, or stand up from the ashes. Yeah, here's the actual quote. "We will scorch the earth under which he stands, and the night will brighten with the ashes of the Federation. But first, we will have vengeance." So basically what the executive producer for this season, Terry Metalis, is saying is that basically this is going to give a proper final ending to the Next Generation cast, which he didn't believe they got in Star Trek Nemesis. And apparently the cast agreed with that as well. Some of the cast are actually super excited about this. Gates McFadden, who plays Dr. Crusher, said that this is the best Star Trek material she's ever had for her character in 35 years. And LeVar Burton, who plays Geordi, he said that if he never gets to play Geordi again and he ends on the note that his character does in season 3, he'll be satisfied.
I am so excited to see every one of these classic next-gen characters come back, Chris. I mean...
I know. So I guess there's a few updates on that we know about the characters.
Yeah.
Picard doesn't have much of an update right now. We know he's still an admiral, and we know that his girlfriend Laris apparently is going to be in some of the earlier episodes. So apparently they're either still together or they're still working together, whatever it is.
I'm not thinking that things are going to turn out well for Picard and Laris with Crusher back in the mix. I think
that is a very good point.
Yeah, I think we're going to finally get some resolution to the will they, won't they that we got for 7 years on Next Gen.
Exactly. So with Riker, he's still a captain. We see him in uniform in several of the trailers, and it looks like he helps Picard to get the Titan A so that they can go on whatever mission they're going on. One thing that I did read in doing research for this is that apparently Picard is going to be having some conflict with Dr. Crusher and Riker during the season. It's going to be kind of stretched out throughout the season, not just resolved. So that made me kind of wonder, did Picard and Crusher actually get together at some point and break up? Could that be why they or did they just have some sort of falling out?
Who knows?
You know, it's that's the interesting part, is being curious what it's going to be about. You know, there was no real update on Troy. All they said was she was on board the ship with Picard. I guess it was the Titan. And she said that she could sense a darkness out of the villain. So that's really all we know now. LaForge, I didn't know this until I completed my research. He's actually going to be a Commodore in this season.
Nice.
And it was confirmed when I watched the trailer again. I saw the Commodore pips on him.
Nice.
So that was neat. And his character now has 2 daughters, Alondra and Sydney. And one of them, I can't remember which one it is actually going to be played by his real life biological daughter.
Oh, so, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Finally, at least we know LaForge finally met somebody and got laid. He had no luck during the Next Generation, that's for sure.
I can't believe you just said that.
Well, I'll say it again. He finally got laid. That was a running joke with Geordi. He couldn't get any girlfriends.
Right. Oh,
You know?
poor Geordi.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
I mean, he always pined for Leah Abrams, though.
Exactly. Absolutely. And then Worf, this is the one part that fans are concerned about, because Worf says he's now a pacifist. And in one of the trailers, it says that you do not know the sacrifices I've made to get to the point where I'm at, or to this point here. So who knows what's happened in between Nemesis in these last 20 years.
Right. I'm just impressed at how good Michael Dorn looks in full Worf gear again and prosthetics. Man.
Yes.
Oh, and he
looks
like so gracefully, like.
Yes, he did, and he looks like himself. There were a lot of us fans were worried that they were going to redo his makeup like the Discovery Klingons. That would not have gone over. You didn't think? I did not
think that for a minute.
A lot of fans did. I didn't. I wasn't sure. I was just hopeful. And
fandom doesn't know what they think they're going to see. Everybody, they always, fandom always doom says, and whatever. They're always, it's always the sky is falling. But yeah, sure. They were not going to mess with the character like that. I could have told you that.
Right. Well, good. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad you were right. He looked like himself. So let's see. Is there anything else going on here? So we know that in addition to Laris returning, we're actually going to have a couple more surprise Star Trek characters coming in. So we have Professor Moriarty reappearing, and Lore is apparently going to be in it. And in the trailer, he looked like he was human. So that will be interesting to see what role Lore plays and why he looks like an older Brent Spiner, basically. And apparently Tasha Yar, Denise Crosby, is supposed to be appearing in some form in this season. I don't know if she's going to have some sort of little bit to remember Tasha Yar, or if she's going to come back as Sela or what. But apparently she's going to have some small role in something. And then apparently the inspiration for this movie was Star Trek 2, and for several different reasons. They made Vadic very Khan-esque, I guess, in her mannerisms and her motivations. And apparently Vadic and Picard are going to be playing what was called mental games, like Khan and Kirk did in Star Trek 2. They're going to have Space Dock back in it. It's not the same Space Dock from Star Trek 3, from what I read, but it's very similar. They're trying to bring a lot of those old movie elements in. Even if you look at the Titan A, the saucer section looks very much like the original Enterprise saucer refit. Yeah. And then I guess they're bringing in the boatswain whistle, that whistle that they blow when a flag officer, somebody's coming aboard.
Yeah,
one of those. And they also have a couple Star Trek behind-the-scenes crew members coming back, like Dan Curry, who was a visual effects producer. He even created a new Klingon sword called the Kurlith for Worf to use. Visual effects artist Doug Drexler's returning, starship designer John Eves, and graphic designer Michael Okuda, which is excellent. So we can continue to see a continuation of the graphics from the past.
Right.
Now.
Maybe a nice refreshed LCARS interface.
Exactly. And then in terms of the music, they have a new composer this season, Stephen Barton. And he said that the music score that he created for the whole season, he described it as, quote, a 6.5 hour love letter to music to the incomparable Jerry Goldsmith, James Horner, and the Star Trek The Next Generation composers.
Very nice.
So this is going to be a wild season. It's going to be,
and I'm hoping the music gets nice, some good attention. And I hope it doesn't distract from the content of the show, though, either. It has to work in harmony with each other.
Right. Now, one question I've been asking myself about this is, if any of the Next Generation characters finally die in this season, how am I going to feel about that? Again, TNG is my favorite show. It's what got me into Star Trek. So watching the characters, if they die, will be hard. But what I said to myself is if it's done right and it honors the characters, I'll be cool with it.
Yeah.
As long as it's that way. I mean, the actors are getting into their 70s now. They can't play them forever. So,
of course not. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, at least if they can have a proper send-off, a proper goodbye, then I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, I definitely want to express how excited I am for the finale of Picard and all of season 3. Like, I'm so psyched.
Oh, definitely. Real quick, so Picard season 3 premieres on Paramount Plus on February 16th of 2023 for 10 episodes. The series finale of Picard will air April 20th.
Oh, so it's going to be a very busy March and April then, or February,
Yes.
March and April, I guess.
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
Whew. We're definitely getting a very nice buffet of content of our favorite franchises, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. We're lucky.
Let's cover a couple other Star Wars projects that are set to come out. And remember how I said March is going to be a busy month?
Oh, yes.
Well, buckle up because it's not going to get any less busy for Star Wars fans. So the next game in the Star Wars Jedi series that EA Games and Respawn Entertainment released, I believe it was 2018 was when Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order came out. So the next game is called Jedi Survivor. It takes place about 5 years after the events of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order at the height of the Empire's reign, because during the timeline of the first game, the Empire was just really getting started, and they were still very much sending Inquisitors after and trying to kill and hunt down the remaining Jedi. So this is 5 years in the future, and it seems like a lot has happened, and this game is going to be extremely dark, which is what has gotten me really excited, which we'll talk about more later. And then to kind of explain the 5 years in between games, there's going to be what Lucasfilm does best and have a tie-in novel. And
Okay.
I am a sucker and I will buy it. I already have it pre-ordered.
Nice.
And that releases on March 7th. So the game releases on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, but the book comes out 10 days prior on March 7th. And this is, like I said, it's going to explain the events of in between the two games, and it's going to tell you what the hero of the first game, Cal Kestis, was doing in that 5 years, along with his found family that they all united together during the first game. Because of course one of the big lingering themes with Star Wars is the power of found family. So
right.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for both of those, but Chris, I know you have you're not a gamer, I know.
No.
So but it's probably not that exciting to you, but trust me, I am geeking out right now.
Oh, nice. So what game is it going to be on? Xbox, PlayStation?
It's going to be on Xbox, PlayStation, both. PC, I believe. Maybe not day and date with the console versions, but it definitely will come out on PC at some point.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people, playing games all the time, and they seem to really enjoy it and get into it and the lore, or what it adds to the lore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, when you're starting to play them and you want to report on them, definitely do. That'd be great to hear about.
And if you don't really like the whole video gaming thing, you can actually watch YouTube videos of all the story stuff kind of stitched together. And what's nice about the game is, until another live action project or animation project comes out that proves, or that tells the story otherwise, basically the game is considered canon. So all the events that happen in the game are happening in canon in the Star Wars universe.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
Engage.
Oh, well, I guess you would have more Star Trek content, because there's another major show that we haven't talked about yet that starts at some point in the new year, right?
Yes, there are actually several that are be at different points. So Star Trek Discovery will be heading into its 5th season. Now, at this point, all that it says is that it's going to be early 2023 on Paramount Plus. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's going to be coming out after Picard, or if it's going to be Strange New Worlds will be after Picard and then Discovery after that. Right. That hasn't been clarified.
Right.
Discovery Season 5 has been filmed, and it's in post-production at this time. According to the synopsis for this season given by Paramount and CBS, apparently it is, quote, the greatest treasure in the known galaxy is out there. And apparently there's some sort of mysterious power that has been hidden for centuries. And so I guess the Federation is going to be trying to vie from other powers to try to find out what this hidden power is. And other dangerous groups are going to be looking as well. So
I don't know.
Yeah, it was very vague, and I watched the teaser trailer of Season 5. It didn't really give a whole lot. It didn't even have a whole lot of words. Yeah. That quote about the greatest treasure in the known galaxy is out there was said by one of the new characters, I believe, that Callum Keith Rennie is going to be playing, some sort of captain. His name's Rayner, and he's described as a wartime Starfleet captain struggling to adjust to peace. So not sure how he's going to fit into all of that, but
I'm starting to get a little sick of Discovery having all these world-altering plots. It's just so old. And this may actually be the season that finally turns me away.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, if anything, Strange New World's success should show people that that's the formula that seems to work. There's nothing wrong with serialized stories, but if you make it overly grand and overly epic and the whole galaxy's at risk in every season, it gets monotonous and old. Yeah. Now, here's a quote that maybe you'll like. It was from executive producer and producing director Olatunde Osunsomni. He said that the 5th season of Discovery will take more storytelling approaches from TOS and TNG. And I think you should throw Strange New Worlds in there as well. Yeah. And he said, quote, more exploration and more adventure. Now, they seem to say that every time they're previewing a new season, and that falls flat. Yeah. Now, but again, though, with the success of Strange New Worlds, I'm thinking maybe they might take more of a lesson from that and might try incorporating that. But all we can do is wait and see, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this may be. I'm going to give this season a chance, but this might be the one that does me in.
Right. That's a shame. I wonder if this will actually be Discovery's last season. There hasn't been any word yet on season 6, but I mean, it's still a little early. But this Star Trek regime kind of has the tendency to kind of renew shows pretty quickly, very early.
Right.
Some even before they premiered, they already get second seasons.
Yeah. But at the same time, now that these streaming services have been out for 2, 3, 4 years, they're finding that you're going to find that shows get canceled more frequently because none of these streaming services are making money. Most of them are completely underwater and losing money. And it's up to, for Paramount, it's up to things like Top Gun Maverick to balance the books, right?
Yes.
And I know Disney Plus is losing money and HBO Max and Discovery, it's all losing money. So I think you're going to find that these shows don't get renewed as willy-nilly as they used to.
Okay. Well, that's interesting to know. Definitely. Definitely. So, that's basically all I have for Discovery. There are going to be 2 characters named Mole and Lack. And they're apparently outlaws that are going to be recurring characters throughout the season. I guess they'll be vying for this mysterious power. So that's pretty much where we're at with that. So good luck to them.
All right. So I know that you had mentioned Strange New Worlds is coming back at some point in 2023. So what do we know anything about it? And do we know anything about Lower Decks or what the direction that show is going to go?
So they did mention a few things here and there about the crossover with Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks.
Right.
I guess there are going to be parts that are animated and parts that are going to be live action. I'm not sure exactly how it's all going to work. Are they going to kind of mix it back and forth? And some people were wondering if this was some sort of time travel story or an alternate timeline, or was it taking place on the holodeck on board the Cerritos? Apparently, one of the producers made the comment that it is going to be the Lower Decks people will actually be on the Enterprise. I think it's going to be Boimler and Mariner, if I remember correctly. So, but apparently Jonathan Frakes directed it, and apparently it's supposed to be a really funny, very well done episode.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Lower Decks. I had the chance to catch up on it, and I love the humor. I mean, it is definitely not a show for kids, unlike Prodigy.
Right.
It is a show for grown-ups. It's adult animated comedy, kind of like Family Guy, like Rick and Morty, like The Simpsons. But I really enjoy the show. But you can tell it's created by Trek fans. They just have a more offbeat sense of humor.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So we'll see how that meshes with Strange New Worlds.
Right. And how's that going to work with the time travel? Because, I mean, it's, a century in between, right?
Yes, exactly. So, hopefully it's something that was well thought of and it makes sense, and it's not some, goofy, port key kind of thing, Harry Potter-esque stuff.
Well, I mean, is Lower Decks even considered canon, though?
I think Lower Decks actually is considered canon.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they did rope all of the animated series. Even the one from the 70s is now considered canon, and that had been debated for decades.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That. Yeah, but I mean, if you go on to memoryalpha.org, you'll see it's counted as one of the series. So, but there's not a whole lot of other news going on. I mean, we all know that Paul Wesley's coming on board and playing Captain Kirk, and that we're going to see him during his time as on the Farragut as a lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a new chief engineer played by comedian Carol Kane. Her character's name is Palia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the producers felt that they were considering bringing Scotty in, but they thought it was too early to do that. Yeah. So there wasn't much really brought up about Uhura. Helmsman Ortegas, apparently she's going to have one specific episode in the season that focuses on her. So fans are really hoping to kind of get some interesting information on her.
Yeah, I like her character.
Yeah, she's fascinating and very interesting, and she seems to get. I haven't watched a whole lot of Strange New Worlds, but it seems like she gets away with a lot. Oh yeah, I have not watched much of it. I'm behind more on Star Trek than you would think. It's weird. I told you earlier I've been a bad Trekkie, bad Trekkie. Okay, just timing. And then so Spock, I guess they're going to see a little bit more of. I guess Spock's going to be wrestling with some more of his human side and experimenting with emotion, and apparently that's going to have some sort of influence on the whole Spock to Pring relationship. And let's see, Pike is basically. I watched a video from Pop Culture on YouTube, and they made the comment about basically Pike seems like he's going to be living life to the fullest because he knows what his fate's going to be. So he's going to embrace that a little bit more. Number one, or Una. They're hoping that I guarantee she'll come back on board the Enterprise, even though she was arrested for being genetically engineered.
Right.
And then Lon Ninian Singh, she took a leave of absence in the next to the last episode. Was going to help that girl who got abandoned when the Gorn attacked their ship. But we all know she's coming back on the Enterprise because we've seen her interacting with Kirk. So, these regulars, they tend to leave for an episode and come back for whatever reason.
Right. Absolutely.
So there is, again, no release date. But again, the Popcast show on YouTube said that they believe that based on the pattern from last year is that Strange New Worlds premiered right after Picard. So season 3 of Picard ends in April. Mm-hmm. They're thinking that the premiere episode of Strange New Worlds might be around May 4th.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. The timing makes sense, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Any other Trek stuff that you're aware of coming in 2023?
Well, we know this Lower Deck Season 4 will be premiering in 2023, but again, no date.
Right.
And apparently the show is currently in production. The writing began in April of last year, and they were this year, and then they started voice recording in June. Okay. So hopefully we'll get some news of that soon.
Yeah.
And then Prodigy, still finishing up its first season. It's got the action figures coming out, and it also won an Emmy for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Production Design.
Nice.
Yes.
That's really cool that, that these shows are getting a little bit of love, at least,
Yes.
I mean, I don't think any Star Trek will ever get nominated for like the big performance awards, but, if they can get a few for technical achievements, hey.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. So it's nice to see Star Trek trekking along, basically, at this point. So what do you have for Star Wars?
Well, that's all I have. We do have the Ahsoka show coming out at some point in 2023. And of course, if you know me at all, I'm excited for that.
Yes.
Because, she is my favorite character. Otherwise, we have another show coming out that was kind of announced out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're done filming it, and that was that Star Trek Skeleton Crew, which is going to somehow involves Jude Law in Star Wars, which is pretty incredible that they landed somebody like Jude Law, and a bunch of kids on a ship somewhere in the Star Wars galaxy. I don't know any more about it than that, but I'm excited for that too, just to see what it's all about. But there's almost no information on it otherwise. So that's really all that we're aware of for 2023 because, Lucasfilm and they really keep a lot of that stuff very close to the chest. They only reveal when they're ready.
Yes.
And they keep everything very, very secure.
Well, and that's a good thing. The less it leaks out, the more people enjoy it and are surprised by the stuff,
Yeah.
So I think that's wonderful.
All right.
Fascinating.
let's take a minute. Let's talk about what we're most excited for from Star Trek and Star Wars in 2023. Pick one of the upcoming shows or animated series or whatever that you're excited for, and tell me what you're most excited about.
All right, so without a doubt, it's season 3 of Star Trek Picard. Seeing the next generation cast reunite for one last big adventure. Seeing the fact that they're bringing all these past characters in with Moriarty and lore, the season seems so jam-packed full of stuff, and you're never going to know what you're going to come up and you're actually going to see. So right. That's going to be super exciting. Also, the Enterprise F, is going to be there in the show to some capacity. Sure. I'm hoping we learn a little bit about the fate of what happened to the Enterprise E. That would be nice, or even if we saw it. Yeah. But just getting at least an Enterprise in it is going to be great. And, seeing 7 and 9, as a first officer on board the Titan, get a new ship, it's exciting. So I can't wait all the way around. How about you for Star Wars?
I think that the thing I'm most excited for is the season 3 of The Mandalorian. I mean, I'm really interested in getting more of the backstory behind Sabine and Bo-Katan's time with the Darksaber. I know that was a huge deal in the second season, how, when Sabine gave it to Bo-Katan, instead of Bo-Katan winning it in combat, that's kind of what led to the downfall of Mandalore, right? I mean, that's what we're led to believe. And I think we're going to see Din Djarin travel to Mandalore, or what's left of it, on his quest to become a Mandalorian again, according to Death Watch and his little cult that he's still holding on to for whatever reason.
Right, exactly.
So I'm really excited to see more stuff on Mandalore. I'm excited to see more Darksaber lore. I'm looking for more sequel trilogy connections. I'm not the biggest fan of the sequel trilogy, especially The Rise of Skywalker. I liked The Force Awakens. I loved The Last Jedi. I just did not really care for how it all wrapped up with The Rise of Skywalker. So I'm hoping that some of the material in The Mandalorian season 3, I know we're getting Babu Frick, so maybe we'll get some info on the First Order and how it's forming in the unknown regions. Maybe we'll get some sort of connection, because they've kind of been dangling some clues in front of us, with all the cloning tanks in season 2 of The Mandalorian, showing what looked like Snoke in one of those containers. You can see that the Empire's, or rather the Emperor's plan B, his backup plan, is, starting to come into, we're starting to see how the pieces all line up and how that all came together, and how, all of a sudden in The Rise of Skywalker, he's back, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I'm just hoping that we get a little bit more lore to feed my hope, my desire to at least get as much enjoyment out of the sequel trilogy as I do get out of the other two. Or, I'll even take 50% of the excitement I get from the first 2 trilogies. I don't care at this point.
Right, exactly, yeah. Exactly.
So, what are you looking forward to in Mandalorian season 3?
Actually, every single thing you just said about the Mandalorian season 3, I definitely can't wait for. I really want to see what the follow-up to Bo-Katan and her needing to get the Darksaber back from Din Djarin. Yeah. And, what have the Mandalorian and Grogu been up to since they left at the end of Book of Boba Fett, together on that little ship. And I'm looking to see more of the capability of what his new Naboo starfighter can do.
Heck yeah, man. That's
a beautiful ship. That's a beautiful ship.
And I love how they put basically an exposed engine on it, kind of like a muscle car.
Exactly.
Which I'm sure, if George Lucas has seen it, I'm sure that makes his heart happy.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing what happened with Moff Gideon as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the moment that we saw him in season 1 cut through the TIE fighter with the Darksaber, I was like, I'm going to keep my eye on this guy.
Yeah, you never know. He's shady. You don't know what he's up to. You can see in his eyes,
Right. So, and then I'm excited for Jedi Survivor, but I talked about that because I really loved the first game. I thought, honestly, it's probably one of my favorite Star Wars games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to see what they do with the combat system, because it looks like they've made some major improvements. It looks like your character now will gain the ability to dual wield lightsabers, much like my Ahsoka does.
Right.
So I'm really excited for that as well.
Well, that's great. So it sounds like Christmas is going to be coming a little later for everybody, but it's going to be worth it in the long run.
That's okay. Delayed gratification is okay.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Give us a little time to recover from the holidays before taking more of our money, right?
Exactly. Definitely.
Oh, I want to go back to really quick. I want to just go back to Picard season 3, because
Yes.
I just realized there's something I wanted to say that you had mentioned. Okay, so I don't know how I missed this, and that Amanda Plummer is Christopher Plummer's daughter. What? How did I not know this?
I don't know. I didn't know it either. Right. I mean, I didn't know it either, but I guess I don't, in one of the reviews of the trailer, one of the trailers, it mentioned that she was his daughter.
That's crazy. I don't know why I never made the connection, because they're both British.
Yeah.
And I love Amanda Plummer. I mean, you remember her iconic role in Pulp Fiction, don't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm excited to see. I mean, I know I don't think we'll get any speeches from Honey Bunny, or like on the level of Honey Bunny in Picard season 3, but I am excited to see what she brings to the table, because it has been a long time since I've seen her anything.
Exactly. I'm just praying that they make her a very interesting villain, and that her anger or wanting revenge against the Federation, it's not hollow and it doesn't make sense. Star Trek's kind of gone to the well with that one too many times. I want revenge against the Federation. That's getting tiring, unless they can find a creative way to actually do it, though. And if they got a really good experienced actress doing it, that gives me some hope. And also, Star Trek super fan Robert Meyer Burnett he's been very critical of the current Star Trek shows, and he is absolutely in love with season 3. He said. He got a sneak preview of it. So
I mean, everyone's got an opinion, right?
Exactly. But I'm hoping that means that things are on track, and it's going to be blow our minds.
Right. Hopefully. Okay. Well, I think that's about all of the content that you and I have to discuss that's new. But I wouldn't mind taking a moment to kind of tease something that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we spent a good part of this episode talking about Star Trek Prodigy and how Chris and I both really enjoy the show. But I just wanted to give you a little teaser of maybe something to come. I am working hard on trying to get a gentleman who worked on Star Trek Prodigy to come on the show for an interview. So stay tuned, guys. I'm really hoping that this works out, and it should be another. It's been a while since we've done an interview episode, since we found anybody to come on the show. So I'm really hoping this works out. And
exactly, yes,
it'll be fun to talk to somebody who worked on possibly Chris and I's favorite Star Trek project.
Right? Yeah. Prodigy definitely gets 2 thumbs up and a whole bunch of other things too.
For sure. So that's your teaser of what's to come. Why don't you tell us what you're excited for from Star Wars and Star Trek in 2023? Go find us on Twitter at CLLPod and tell us what you're most excited for in 2023 from Star Trek and Star Wars. Heck, give us something from both that you're excited for. And I think that's going to do it for episode 21 of Captain's Logs and Lightsabers podcast. Thank you for sticking with us for this long. And as always, my name is Jonathan. My co-host is Chris. Any final words for the audience?
Oh, just Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year to everybody.
All right, that about covers it. And as always, may the Force be with you.
And live long and prosper.